What's up, everybody? This is a Robocop guide going over Robocop's Crushing Blows, and very similar to my previous guide going over Shiva's Crushing Blows. One, we're not talking about the down 2 Crushing Blows. That is universal to every character in the game. That is not Robocop specific. And 2, we're only talking about the tournament variation Crushing Blows. So basically all the Crushing Blows that you have access to if you're playing rank or if you're going to a major tournament. That is it. Foward 212 is a pretty popular and common type of Crushing Blow. You trigger this Crushing Blow if you land this string as a form of punishment or as a counter hit. And if you don't understand what that means, don't worry. I'm going to show you guys multiple examples here to give you a clear understanding right now. Now, the first example I'm going to show you is a form of block punishment. I'm doing Cassie's Ball Buster here, and I'm blocking it with Robocop. And that is minus 22 on block. And all that means is Cassie is going to take an additional 22 frames to return to neutral relative to Robocop returning to neutral off of block before she can block. And in that time frame, if I do a move faster than 22 frames, I can punish Cassie because she can't block. And because of the Crushing Blow requirements of this string, it will trigger a Crushing Blow. Now, the other example here I'm showing you is not off a block. Cassie's doing a down 2. It's whiffing. I'm not blocking, it's whiffing. And the time it takes her to recover from that whiff move, I'm attacking before she recovers. She can't block until she recovers, until she returns to neutral. And again, I'm getting another form of punishment. This is not block punishment. You can call this whiff punishment or whatever. And I'm triggering a Crushing Blow. And the last example I'm showing you is the counter hit example. This is a little bit different because it's not a matter of her returning to neutral to block. I'm basically attacking her during her activation frames or whatever action or move she performed. And I'm landing this move and I'm triggering the Crushing Blow. Okay, I can make a much more detailed guide on this if you guys really want. If you have any questions, please ask me below in the comments. If it helps, it is a different game, but I did make a hidden frame mechanics guide for Tekken. But the first part of that guide, I go over things like this in extreme detail. So you can check that out if you have some questions. The other thing I want to talk about is the reason that I was able to land Robocop's Foward 212 and basically get the punish off Cassie being minus 22 is because his Foward 212 comes out in 13 frames. So 13 frames is faster than 22 frames. The time it takes her to recover, right? What if here I'm showing you an example with Devora, I'm doing her Foward 2-2 and that is minus 12 on block. So this is just something you have to be aware of because I cannot punish Devora with Robocop's Foward 2-1-2. I'm showing an example with Liu Kang. His Foward is I11. I can punish Devora with the I11 string because it is 1 frame faster than his than her negative 12. So obviously 11 comes out faster than 12 and I can punish there. So a key factor that tends to go into making these counter or the counter or punishment strings that trigger Crushing Blows that make them a little bit easier to get is the startup speed of the string or the move that has that type of requirement for the Crushing Blow. Down back 2 is his Riot Shield parry, and it's a pretty good parry. It parries pretty much, I think, any high or mid in the game. Even lows, no wait, not lows, throws, they rhyme, my brain is kind of all over the place there. Even throws and projectiles, even multiple projectiles, so really good parry. There are 2 ways you can trigger this Crushing Blow, and the first way we're going to talk about honestly is probably the more common way you're going to see it being used, and probably the more common way you're going to have to think about when you're playing against a Robocop opponent and being worried about actually dealing with this. And that is if your opponent is on the ground and they do a wake up attack and you do the Riot Shield parry and amplify, that will trigger the Crushing Blow. So very similar to Liu Kang's parry, pretty much identical to Liu Kang's parry. When he parries a wake up attack, if he amplifies, he gets the Crushing Blow. And just like Liu Kang in that situation, you get some really good mind games off of this because it makes your opponent second think about doing a wake up attack, which can allow you to put I said amplified, which I find is funny, to allow you to put additional pressure on your opponent. Now, the second way, which is really cool to me, is if you're playing an opponent that's really good at flawless blocking, you can use this Crushing Blow to kind of shut them down a little bit. If your opponent flawless blocks your attack and do up 3 or up 2, if you do the Riot Shield parry on that returning attack and amplify, it will trigger a Crushing Blow. So Again, I think the first way is going to be much more common because a lot of people, in my experience, don't flawless block, especially online. But if you're playing somebody that has that skill and you have meter and you haven't used this crushing blow, this will make them think twice about flawless blocking your attack, which could open up a lot more offensive options for you or make some of your offensive options a lot safer. Back Forward 2 is this really cool like big bazooka gun that falls out of the sky for Robocop, and he basically shoots you on block. I love how this works because it knocks you clear across the screen. I mean, it just knocks you back off of the 3 hits when you amplify it on block all the way across the screen and allow Robocop to continue his zoning pressure. Now, the way you trigger this crushing blow in theory is pretty much identical to how you do his forward 2-1-2 string. You trigger it off of a punish or off of a counter. However, in practice, in an actual match, this is a little bit harder for 2 core reasons. One, the starter frames of this move is I-30. There are not a lot of moves in the game where you can block punish I-30, so very slow startup. 2, which makes it even trickier, is that you have to trigger the crushing blow by punishing or countering a move close. You can't even do this far away. If you can do this far away, at least for the counter perspective, this would be a little bit easier to do. So I'm going to show you guys some examples of getting this to work and try to explain a little bit of how to make this a little bit easier. But honestly, I'm not an expert here. If there are any Robocop mains out there that know some really cool tricks or setups for getting this crushing blow, please post that in the comments because I'm very curious myself. I'm going to talk about triggering this crushing blow via the counter hit first because that's normally how I get it. I find that to be a little bit easier, and I normally set this up off of a hard read, which is dangerous in itself, but that's normally how I set up when I'm playing against a character like a Liu Kang player or a Sub-Zero player. When I read that they're going to do a special move that travels across the screen, and when they're traveling across the screen, they're in active frames. So when I land my back 2 special move while they're in active frames, it'll usually trigger the crushing blow because they're traveling across the screen towards me, and by the time it lands, because it has a slow startup of I-30, it will hit when they're close and it triggers the counter hit crushing blow. That's normally how I get it. Now, you have to remember that even though you can amplify this move, which is high, mid, the crushing blow is triggered from just the single attack of the first hit, the high. And because of that, for example, be aware of special moves that travel across screens that low profile. I'm showing you here with Sub-Zero that this does not work because its slide will low profile the back 2 because it's a high. I don't know why I keep saying back 2, it's back forward 2, but anyway, now I'm going to show you a couple of examples of landing this on punish. So we did the counter hit, and the counter hit, at least for me, I landed during the active frames. For punish, I landed on recovery frames. For me, again, if you guys have better setups for this, post it in the comments. I truly want to know. So here I'm showing you Cassie. I'm doing her special moves and I'm catching her in recovery from that, and I'm getting the punish right here. Or if you have the reaction time, here's an example where I basically say I'm outspacing Kung Lao, I'm causing him to whiff, and I'm catching him with the back forward 2 in recovery frames, and I'm close enough in both examples to trigger the crushing blow. Variation 1 crushing blow is attached to his command grab in this variation. That's specific to this variation. I think it's very interesting that I believe to execute this command grab is something simple like half circle back or something like that, compared to how you do most command grabs in this game is a little bit more tedious, but you know, whatever, that's neither here or there. How you trigger this crushing blow is off of a counter or a punish to a roll escape. That's actually pretty good when you put this in sync or synchronize this with his Riot Shield parry crushing blow that you can trigger off of a get up attack. So basically Robocop kind of has 2 powerful options to shut down his opponents when it comes to wake up attacks or their defensive roll away escape options. So this is really a good way to kind of shut your opponent down, or at the very least mess with their mind in terms of their options when they're on the ground, because one shuts down offensive options, the other can potentially shut down defensive options, and that's pretty good. I don't know how many characters have both of these options in one variation, but it's good that he does, point blank period. For variation 2, his crushing blow is associated with his low auto shot, which is very similar to Cassie's low shot in her Digital Soldiers variation. Basically, he drops down to a knee, he shoots his gun, and while he's doing that, he low profiles high attacks. Well, actually, He low profiles high projectiles. I actually don't know if he low profiles high attacks. I'll actually test that out. But he definitely low profiles high projectiles. So if you're good with timing this and somebody's tossing out a high projectile trying to trade with you in a zoning war, you will win. And that's one of the things that make this a pretty good zoning tool. The fact that it's a mid in general is actually good as well, like Cassie's low shot digital soldier. And one of the requirements for this crushing blow is that you have to duck under a high projectile or low profile it, whatever you want to say, and land a counter or a punish with its low auto shot. Then it will trigger the crushing blow. One thing I was thinking when I was doing this, which is kind of funny to me, was if Cassie had this associated with her low shot in her digital soldier, I know so many people that would be so mad about that. I don't know, at least for me personally, I know a lot of people complain about Cassie and her zoning, which it doesn't bother me at all, but to each his own. But anyway, that's how you trigger his crushing blow for his variation 2. For his third variation, it is his OCP charge, which is basically his special move where he jumps in the sky and he flies across the screen and he basically hits you with his knee or his shield. So it's an air-to-air attack or anti-air attack as well. There are 2 ways to trigger this crushing blow. The first way is to land this as a counter or a punish from maximum range, basically the maximum range at the end of you flying across the screen with this attack. Again, for me, this crushing blow is honestly kind of tricky to get. I normally, again, get it kind of like the cannon off of a hard read. It's not as hard as the cannon in my opinion, simply because it has a faster startup. And if you have the skills to do like the short hop version versus jumping all the way in the air and then doing it, it does come out a little bit faster. That being said, still tricky for me to do. In the example I'm showing here with Cassie, to me, this isn't very practical. I'm basically just showing you an example to get it. But the Scorpion example here, where he's actually, I'm reading him throwing out his spear, and it's one of those cases where it is a hard read and they've basically committed to doing it already. I've actually caught quite a few Scorpion players with this move, but then again, you could always argue that's a Scorpion player. I'm joking. I'm joking. No disrespect to Scorpion players. The second way to do this is his armor break move. To me, this is not the best armor break move, but it is his armor break move, and it does suck that it's only in his third variation. And normally I get this when I break armor catching somebody when they're doing a fatal blow or something like that. And that is the end of my Robocop Crushing Blow guide. If you guys liked the video, please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel out a lot. And as I said in previous videos, thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have given me. Some of these videos are really time consuming to make, so I really appreciate the comments, the likes, the views, all of that. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. This is Acid Light. You guys take care.